Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News. National Tax Security Awareness Week, Day 5. Security Summit alerts tax professionals to potential telework scams during COVID-19. Urges all practitioners to use MultiFactor Authentication. IR 2020-271, December 4th, 2020. IRS YouTube video. New security measures help protect against tax-related identity theft. There's a link to that video here. Washington, the Internal Revenue Service, state tax agencies, and tax industry marked the final day of National Tax Security Awareness Week with a warning to all tax professionals that they faced additional challenges from cybercriminals seeking to exploit COVID-19 fears. The partners working together as the Security Summit, there's a link to Security Summit here, today closed a week-long effort to heighten awareness about identity theft and data security measures among taxpayers, businesses, and tax practitioners. This is the 5th annual National Tax Security Awareness Week. Quote, when the Security Summit formed 5 years ago to fight identity thieves, it was clear that the IRS, the state industry, could not be successful without the help of taxpayers and tax professionals. Everyone has a role to play in protecting sensitive financial data, end quote, said IRS Commissioner Chuck Rettig. Quote, we've made tremendous progress in the past 5 years, but we still have work to do. The coronavirus and the increase in teleworking creates new ways these sophisticated cybercriminals to scam people out of their money and their sensitive tax and financial information, end quote. As the IRS and Security Summit partners took important steps to strengthen defenses against cybercriminals, identity thieves increasingly turned to tax professionals targeting their offices and systems. Data thefts from tax professionals can provide valuable information to thieves trying to file fraudulent tax returns. So as we've been reading this for the past few days and weeks, it looks like a lot of the thieves have been targeting and focusing their target on the tax professionals, especially as they're going to be more remote access points because people are now, because of COVID-19, working possibly more remotely, which could provide more access points to cyber criminals to steal sensitive information. So a lot of what they've been talking about has gone into that and going to that focus of the tax preparers as well as the tax preparer software to make sure that the software is something that can't easily be used then to, prepare fraudulent tax returns. So back to the text. The summit partners remind all tax professionals to review their security measures. IRS Publication 4557, Safeguarding Taxpayer Data, there's a link to that here, provides practitioners with a starting point for basic steps to protect clients. The Security Summit also created the, quote, Taxes Security Together, end quote, checklist. There's a link to that checklist here to help tax practitioners identify the basic steps they should take. As more tax preparers work from home or remote locations because of COVID-19, these measures are even more critical for securing tax data. So as the companies grow, it looks like a lot of times when they target CPA firms or tax professional firms, as well as businesses in general, they typically target them when the firm or the business starts to grow, because they may be growing outside of what they can do basically in an office. Their internal controls possibly at that point haven't yet caught up with the expansion and growth that's taking place within the company. And of course, at this point in time, with that growth, there's going to be more remote work that's going to be done that's going to have to be accessing a central point in some cases. And that, of course, provides more opportunity for people to take advantage of that and try to steal, sensitive information and whatnot. So a lot of this is what they've been focusing in on in the last few weeks. So it's worth going over, their findings here and checking them out. So basic protections, the Security 6 measures. These easy steps can make a big difference both for tax pros and taxpayers. Use antivirus software and set it for automatic updates to keep your system secure. So you got to have the antivirus software and you got to have it updated, or else, it's not going to be up to date to protect the system. This includes all digital products, computers, and mobile phones. And I think that's one of the key points. I think most people probably have the antivirus software on their system here, but obviously now that we have, virtual networks and whatnot, then all the devices, including those tablets and phones and whatnot, should also be included and something that needs to be, kept secure. So use firewalls. Firewalls help shield computers from outside attacks, but cannot protect systems in cases where users accidentally download malware, for example, from phishing emails. So if you have a firewall, you got to have the firewall. But obviously, if you link to a phishing email, or if you give access to download something, then that bypasses typically the firewall. So oftentimes those scamming type of emails that are trying to basically get you to click on something or download something may be set up, of course, to be in such a way that you're going to give permission to download it, and then it goes past the firewall at that point. So use multi-factor authentication to protect online accounts, especially tax products, cloud software providers, email providers, and social media. So that multi-factor authentication, they keep on emphasizing that as we've been reading this over and over again. We've been reading their findings here. So anywhere you can do multi-factor authentication, it seems to be the way to go, especially, of course, with the actual tax product, the tax software that you're going to be using, but also with anything that you're going to be having access to, potentially sensitive information, which includes social media accounts even, and that, of course, is where the multi-factor authentication means that you got not only the password, but they try to send something somewhere else, possibly a phone or possibly an email, so that you have that multi-factor that you gotta authentify with. So back up sensitive files, especially client data, to secure external sources such as external hard drives or cloud storage. So obviously, if there is a compromised system on the actual system that you are storing data with, you want to make sure you have it somewhere else. You can do that with an external hard drive, backing up to an external hard drive, but then you probably want to make sure, one, that the external hard drive is secure, that no one gets access to that, and that you can possibly move that outside or away from the office, maybe, so that if there's a fire or something, you don't lose it in that case. Or you can think about, some kind of online storage process for it as well. Encrypt data. Tax professionals should consider drive encryption products for full drive encryption. This will encrypt all data. So that, of course, is another step up to actually encrypt the data, and that could be a good option, of course, with sensitive data as well. Use virtual private network, VPN product. As more practitioners work remotely during the pandemic, VPN is critical for secure connections. So it looks to me like if you're working all in one office, then you might, you're more secure, of course. If you start to then be working remotely and then accessing a central point, then obviously that's where they're saying that there's going to be more access points for, people to steal and, do bad stuff or whatever. So that they're saying that, so if you're doing more, especially if you do more remote works, that VPN, of course, is something that you want to take a look at and see how you can safeguard those access points as you're working remotely. So use multi-factor authentication to protect tax accounts. In 2021, all online tax preparation products for tax professionals will include an option for using multi-factor authentication. So the actual tax software will have multi-factor authentication, or at least an option for it. The Security Summit urges all tax professionals to use this option. Multi-factor authentication may not be available on all over-the-counter hard disk products. If the numerous data thefts reported to the IRS from tax professionals' offices this year, most could have been avoided had practitioners used multi-factor authentication to protect tax software accounts. So they're saying that multi-factor authentication could be quite effective based on what they have seen for, thieves in the past and what could have prevented the thieving. Practitioners can download to their mobile phones readily available authentication apps offered through Google Play or the Apple Store. These apps will generate a security code. Codes also may be sent to practitioners' email or text, but the IRS notes those are not as secure as the authentication apps. So you can get the text and the email, that is multi-factor authentication, but they're saying to even level it up another level, then to have this app would be the way to go. Use a search engine for authentication app, quote, authentication app, end quote, to learn more. Virtual private networks to protect remote sites. A VPN provides a secure encrypted tunnel to transmit data from a remote user via internet and the company network. As teleworking or working from home continues during COVID-19, VPNs are critical to protecting and securing internet connections. So now, obviously, again, you're working remotely. That's going to be another access point. They're saying the VPN is a way to be more secure with that remote access. So failing to use VPNs can add risks to remote takeovers by cyber thieves, giving criminals access to the tax professional's entire office network simply by accessing an employee's remote internet. So tax professionals should seek out cybersecurity experts whenever possible. Practitioners can also search for, quote, best VPNs, end quote, to find a legitimate vendor. A major technology sites often provide lists of top services. Remember, never to click on, quote, pop-up, end quote, ad that's marking a security product. Those generally are scams. So if anything is saying, hey, here's a pop-up ad to save you from, say, pop-up ads or something like that, that's usually not where you want to go because, it's a scam oftentimes. They may have put the pop-up ad in there to scare you so they can sell you the thing or something. Anyway, phishing scams, including COVID-19 and economic impact payments. Phishing scams generally are an urgent message, such as, quote, your account has expired. They direct you to an official-looking link or attachment, but the link may take you to a fake site made to appear like a trusted source where it requests your username and password, or the attachment may contain malware which secretly downloads software that tracks keystrokes and allows thieves to eventually steal all the tax pros' passwords. So either way, that's quite not good. So the phishing emails, again, they usually have some kind of urgency. And that's why I think they're more dangerous these days on something like a mobile device or something like that when you're driving and you want to take care of like 10 things at the same time or something. And so when you got your email on your phone and stuff like that, you might be more likely to try to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of and be more likely to be susceptible to phishing type of emails, which could lead to, giving valuable information out and whatnot. So the Department of the Homeland Security Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, recently issued a warning to all organizations to educate employees, especially those teleworking, about increased activity related to phishing scams. The IRS often sees thieves posing as potential clients, trying to trick tax pros into opening an embedded link or attachment. Scams involving COVID-19 and the economic impact payment also have been prevalent. Protect yourself. Need for security plan and data theft plan. The IRS and Security Summit partners remind tax professionals that federal law requires them to have a written information security plan. Federal law gives the Federal Trade Commission enforcement authority over this provision. Practitioners can learn more about the FTC's, quote, safeguard rules, end quote, from IRS Publication 4557. There's a link to Publication 4557 here. In addition to the required information security plan, tax professionals also should consider an emergency response plan should they experience a breach of data theft. This time-saving step should include contact information for the IRS stakeholder liaison. There's a link to that here, who are the first point of contact for data theft reporting to the IRS and the states. IRS Publication 5293, Data Security Resource Guide for Tax Professionals, there's a link to that here, provides a compilation of data theft information available on irs.gov, irs.gov, the IRS website, including the reporting process. The IRS, state tax agencies, the private sector tax industry, including tax professionals, work in partnership as the Security Summit to help protect taxpayers from identity theft and refund fraud. This is the last of a week-long series of tips to raise awareness about identity theft. See irs.gov/Security Summit for more details. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.